YouTube family, what's good with you? It's your boy 2A in LA, and as always, fam, anything I say in this episode, prior episodes, and future episodes is just my personal opinion. Don't take it as fact. Don't take it as law. Always do your own homework and come up with your own conclusions. Right about now, fam, I should go ahead and tap that like button for your boy. If you're new to the channel, I want to say welcome. Come on in. You can join the congregation by smashing that subscribe button and requesting all post notifications. And if you are an existing supporter of this channel, I appreciate you more than you can possibly imagine. You are the reason this channel is anything. All right, fam, let's get this one rolling. We got a good one. We have a good one. Look, fam, you guys know that I own a lot of Taran Tactical Innovations firearms, many of which are collaborations with other manufacturers like Benelli, like V7 and others. Some are produced by Taran directly, like the Sand Viper and Pit Viper. And recently, maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, Taran did a Kovert collaboration where they did an AR-15 rifle, a special purpose rifle called the SPR. Well, look, fam, Kovert and TTI have collaborated once again to bring you the SPR pistol. Fam, you don't see a lot of Taran guns in FDE, so they are breaking the mold with this one. Fam, look, this is a sexy little pistol. I will go ahead and put the specs up there so you guys can check it out. But as you saw from the intro, fam, this bad boy is a shooter, and it's kind of FDE gold, kind of multiple shades of FDE. So I'm digging the look. And look, Kovert and TTI, like I said, when they did their SPR, that was arguably the best kind of fast, lightweight AR-15 I've ever shot, except maybe for my TTI V7 collaboration, the Sovereign. And of course, that rifle is no longer available. And so if you're looking to get a Taran Tactical AR-15, the collaboration with Kovert on the rifle side is still available, and that's a phenomenal shooting gun. And now they bring us this bad boy right here. Look, I gotta say, fam, I was very, very excited about getting this one out on the range. I was so tempted to pick up one, but fam, I've been on one this year, and I feel like I'm gonna regret it one day in the very near future. But shout out to Kovert for providing this to me so that I could do the review on the firearm. Alright, fam, speaking of the review, if you haven't seen a 2A in LA review, the way it works is 0 is the lowest possible score, 100 is the highest possible score. No gun has gotten 0, no gun has gotten 100, but we can always hold out hope, right? If you get something that's 50 to 60, that's a right down the middle gun, no feels, no thrills, but reliable, gonna go bang every time. If you got something between 60 or 70, that gun probably has a feature or two that separates it, makes it slightly more attractive. If you got something that's 70 to 80, now you've got a gun that's kind of feature rich and is probably a few deviations above the mean, if you will. If you got some 80 to 90, you're in kind of head of the class territory, especially if you're kind of 85 to 90. And anything 90 above is just grail gun status. All right, fam. So again, I'll put the specs up there, but you've got a BCM handguard, you got B5 furniture, you got a 2A armament lower. This is a prototype gun, so it has a more duty trigger in it now. The actual gun is going to come with that competition Timney trigger in it, which is crazy. Arguably, between that and that Hyperfire competition trigger, arguably that Timney trigger is the best AR-15 trigger I've ever felt. And so that's going to be in this gun. Look, I think it's very, very well done. You know, the thing about when you partner with Kovert, Kovert gets the best of the best of the best of the best in their shop on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis. And so they have the unique perspective that I think a lot of gun manufacturers don't, where they get to see kind of everything that's in the market. They get to test everything that's in the market, and they get to hear directly from end users about what's important to them. So when they do a collaboration with the Taran Tactical, with the Jacob Gray, with the Ray City Defense, with the Cosane Arms, this is what you end up with. And fam, I got to give them a lot of credit. Fit and finish for this bad boy, we're going to give it a 14 out of 15. All right, next up, reliability. Fam, put a lot of rounds through this gun. It was flawless. No hiccups, no muss, no fuss. It's an AR-15 platform. Like I said, at this point, kind of Kovert and TTI have this down to a science. So we're going to give it again a solid reliability score, 14 out of a possible 15. All right, fam, next up, durability. As I said, componentry, A-okay relative to that. Assembly, manufacturing, very well done. Really good tolerances on everything. I think the pistol is going to be built to last by all accounts. Now, what a lot of people will say is, look, you've only put 1,000 rounds through the gun. You really can't speak to reliability. It's really can't speak to durability. You don't really have that kind of data on this gun until you get thousands and thousands of rounds to it. And that's true enough, and that's why a lot of times you'll see me come back and I'll do a 10,000 round later video, or a 2 year later video, 1 year later video, that kind of thing. But if we waited until we got, if every gun reviewer waited till he got 10,000 round reviews, then people wouldn't have, they wouldn't have any data in which to help them make a determination. What we're really trying to do is we're trying to ascertain, we're trying to heat the gun up, put it through some stress, see if we can start generating some malfunctions as quickly as possible. And I just, was not able to do that. That's why it scored what it scored on reliability. And based on what we've seen thus far, durability, we're going to go ahead and give it again a 14 out of a possible 15. All right, next up, trigger. So I am going to cheat a little bit on the trigger score. This is a Hyperfire trigger, but it's more of a duty-oriented kind of trigger. This is not the trigger that's going into this firearm. The trigger that's going into this firearm is the Timney 2-stage competition trigger, and that trigger is crazy. It's crazy, fam. I have it on a few of my firearms, and in addition to that, I had it on the rifle version of this gun. Like I said, it's one of the best triggers out there. I'll go ahead and pull up the pull weight for that trigger so you guys have a sense of how it's pulling. But it is flat, it is fast, fam. That trigger just runs. One of my favorite AR-15 triggers. That's saying something. Trigger, we're gonna give this a 15 out of a possible 15. All right, next up, accuracy. Obviously, you're dealing with a shorter barrel here. Shorter barrel length barrel. This gun is a pistol version. It's not designed to go out, 1,000 yards or whatever the case may be. But you can put it out to some lengths. We shot it. I took it out 2 separate range days. One day we were in 50-yard a 50-yard lane, and the other day we were in 100 yards. It was delivering very, very precise and tight groups. Again, just very well done. For accuracy, we're going to give it an 8 out of a possible 10. All right, fam. Next up, ergonomics. How does the gun feel? It feels like, you know, I was thinking about it. You know what? It feels like an AR-15. It feels like an AR-15 pistol, fam. If you enjoy the platform, then you're going to love the way the gun feels. Like I said, B5 grip, B5 furniture, BCM handrail. But look, fam, if this were mine, I would do a couple of things to it. Again, this is a prototype gun. I'd have it on a riser. Obviously, I'd have a light source, probably a laser, probably some kind of forward, if not a vertical grip, then a hand stop. So it's not, you know, kind of fully done the way you would normally see one of my firearms, but I can tell you that it feels really, really good. I like B5 furniture. I think they do a really good job. So relative to ergonomics, we're going to give it a 9 out of a possible 10. All right, fam, these next two categories, we're going to put them together: aftermarket support as well as maintenance and upkeep. Did I mention this is an AR-15? I'm pretty sure I did. So there is nothing but aftermarket support. More aftermarket support than you know what to do with, right? So yes, 5 out of 5 for aftermarket support, and it's an AR-15. Takedown is simple. Cleaning it is relatively simple. We're also going to give it a 5 out of 5 for maintenance and upkeep. Next up, fam, affordability. I'm going to just go ahead and put the MSRP up there, fam. Look, this is not a $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 2011. So it's not that. But relative to an AR-15, look, fam, it's crazy lightweight. Crazy lightweight, right? And look, I'm not saying the price isn't warranted. I'm just saying it's a pretty penny. Could you build Arrow AR-15 for, you know, a quarter of the price? Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think it's going to shoot like this. It's not going to feel like this. But certainly in terms of form factor, yeah, you could get an AR-15 pistol for significantly less money. But yeah, it is what it is. Affordability, 2 out of a possible 5. All right, fam, last but not least, flex. Is Instagram gonna go crazy? Are your boys gonna be like, damn? Yes, fam, look. Like I said, you're seeing it in a very simplistic configuration, kind of the way it's gonna come out of the box. But if this were my firearm, like I said, I told you about the other things that I would add to the mix. This build would be ridiculous, and I think it would be stunning when it's done. You've got the Kovert flex, the Taran Tactical flex, all of the above flex points. We're going to give it 4 out of a possible 5. All right, fam, if you had all of that up, the Taran Tactical Kovert SPR pistol at FDE gets a whopping 90 out of 100 hits grail gun status. I want to say the rifle version was like 89. Man, we had to up it a little bit here. That FDE, that multi-shade FDE, the pistol, kind of short barrel format, just brings a little bit more to the table, and it is such an amazing shooting firearm. Yeah, fam. Well earned 90 out of a possible 100 on this little shorty right here. I'm telling you, fam, there's no doubt. If I didn't already have kind of a plethora of these, if I didn't already have the Daniel Defense Mark 18, if I didn't already have the Daniel Defense 300 Blackout PDW, if I didn't already have my Noveski Diplomat, and other short-barreled rifles, there is no doubt that this would be on my cop list. It would probably still be on my cop list, except I got so many other guns on my cop list. There's no more room on my cop list for 2025, but this gun is definitely worthy of being in the 2A NLA collection and yours. All right, fam, that's it for this episode. Until next time, as always, I want you to take care of one another and peace.